welcome to this Food and Drink Tech Hub webinar on robotics in the food and drink and agricultural sector. For you that don't know, my name is Alistair Trail and I am a Principal Food and Drink Consultant for SEC Consulting, and we are delivering the Food and Drink Tech Hub project on behalf of Highlands and Islands Enterprise. Just before we start, just let you know that the session is being recorded, and the recording will be made available to everyone and be put onto the Tech Hub website. Can I ask you to put yourself on mute, but leave your cameras on. And if you have any questions, please just type them into the text, or just put your hand up, and we can ask them just out of the session. Or there'll also be time for questions and answers at the end of the session. So today's webinar is on robotics in the food and drink agricultural sector, and it's part of one of the fringe events for the A3 Scotland 2024 conference, which is on transition to digital. So the A3 conference is a not-for-profit 2-day conference for the animal health, agriculture and agritech and aquaculture sectors. It's organised by HI and SRUC, and it's taking place at the Kingsmill Hotel on 18th, 19th of September. So if you're interested in that, please go to the website and you can go along and register. So today we have two fantastic speakers who are going to talk about robotic applications and food and drink agriculture and robotic solutions that are readily available. You'll hear from the National Robotarium and Highlands and Islands Enterprise, so they can support you in your journey to using robotics. So before we introduce you to the speakers, I just want to spend a few minutes telling you about the Food and Drink Tech Hub Business Support Service. And so this is a 3-year project with an additional year. So we just started year 3 now, and it's to work with 300 food and drink businesses in the Highland Council area, providing business support, technical advice and events to develop the existing network and grow a network of food and drink producers and supply chain businesses. When we mean supply chain businesses, we're talking about from primary producers all the way through to food service and retail. And businesses out with the Highland Council area can still participate in the programme. They can still get involved in the workshops and the events and our online resources, but the one-to-one support that I'll mention later is only available to the businesses in that Highland Council area. So the project started in summer 2022, and it's focusing on opportunities for technology adoption and innovation related to food and drink production. And there's 3 areas really working in. It's supporting businesses to develop their growth plans and to facilitate that specialist in technical support. We're trying to raise awareness, increase implementation of new tech, hence why we're doing the session today on robotics. And we're also trying to develop collaborations between the private sector and the public sector, and to develop innovative projects that will benefit the wider food and drink sector in the Highlands. So this is the type of support we've been offering for the last few years and continue to offer for this year and the year 4 of the project. So we do a lot of work offering product development support, prototype testing, scaling up. We support businesses that are interested in packaging and product labeling. We do food safety, shelf life, nutritional analysis. We do a lot of work now on sustainability, net zero, low carbon, waste management. Offer advice on branding, marketing, business planning, e-commerce, and some more technical things to do with equipment specification, technical troubleshooting, and factory layout. You can find a lot more information about the project at the Tech Hub website, which is there, where you'll also find access to our podcast, which is called Food and Drink Business Bites, and also the videos from our workshops and webinars. So this is the type of support that we are offering to businesses. So any business that comes to a webinar like this, or a workshop or an event, are entitled to a free support call. This is a 30-minute call with one of our experts, who will give them some advice about what support is available and signpost them to external agencies that can help. We'll then have some technical and networking workshops, which today is one on robotics, but we also do face-to-face and online workshops as well. We offer insights and best practice through our videos and podcasts and infographics. Our main support is down the right-hand side of the screen there, where we offer innovation clinics. It's where businesses can come to an online panel of 4 or 5 experts in a particular theme. They will send their questions in beforehand. The panel will do some research into that area and then give them some really bespoke advice about how they can overcome their challenges. We've done some previously on packaging, on product development, and they've been very popular, and you can really get that access to them experts straight away. We do common interest groups, which is where businesses can work together with businesses in the same geographical area or the same subsector within the food and drink sector, or maybe have the same challenge, and they can work together under the supervision of an experienced facilitator who will then understand what the problems are and see what solutions are available and try and increase collaboration in the sector. We also do intensive one-to-one support where you get access to an expert for 3 days of time who can work with a business to overcome a challenge. And we also do learning journeys to visit businesses or go to events. We recently went down to London for the IFE conference, which was really successful. So that is an introduction just to the TechHub project. So that was the first 5 minutes there of the agenda. So next we're going to hear from Ingo Keller, who is head of robotics for the National Robotarium, who's going to talk for about 40 minutes on robotics and Robotarium. And then a slight change to the agenda. We're going to have Caroline, from HI, who's going to talk about what support is available from HI to help you on that robotics journey. And then there'll be 10 minutes at the end for questions and so forth. So with the aim to finish at 5 o'clock. So I will stop sharing my screen and ask for Ingo to share his screen and start the session on robotics.
Apologies. Okay. Yeah, thank you for having me. And I would like to give you a quick overview. You all might appreciate that food, drinks, and agriculture is quite a wide topic, especially in robotics these days. So please bear with me. I will give you a short introduction to who we are and what we do. And then I will go over and hopefully give you some inspiring insight into what we can do with robotics for your industry. So first of all, the Robotarium is only around since roughly 2 years now. But it set out to build an ecosystem centered around robotics, but in all respect of robotics. So we are looking at robotics from a holistic perspective, not just on the technical level, but also on the element of policy, on the element of training, on the element of basically helping everybody to adopt more robotics in industry. And we work together with startups, we try to work together with regulators and a lot of other stakeholders. One signpost number, maybe we have engaged with over 10,000 school kids. So we start very early at the kid stage, and we go up over the range of normal work and work experience, up to the point that we are also trying to talk to the board level in order to help them understand where robotics can basically be beneficial for their business. So as you can see, we are kind of trying to be everywhere. And essentially what we are trying to be as an ecosystem builder, and for you to be somebody who can be approached for questions and further development of robotic solutions. So what we bring in our physical building, which is located in Edinburgh at the Harriet Watt campus, we have incubation and co-location space, that is hot desking, that is the small startup company with an idea, maybe got a little bit funding, and us helping them to develop their idea further, to the bigger startups that sit with us that already are almost good to move out again and to scale up. And everything in between, basically. So we help them on one hand, obviously, with location, on other hands, with expertise that we bring in, or even joint projects where feasible and possible. Besides this, we are looking into, as I mentioned, talent and skills, because in a lot of cases, you might want to adopt a robot, but you now face a new problem. You need to have somebody who can deal with the robot. So obviously, if you only would look at the technology level, that would fall short. So in that sense, we are looking also into how to skill people up. And this is not only as I mentioned, about the kids and the school level, but it goes into the workforce where we're also looking into how can we help retrain people, train people, and get them basically up to speed in operating this type of machinery. We have a couple of test facilities sitting with us in Robot and Automation Systems Lab. Areas like the wave tank, in this case, I will not touch, even though there's already some subsea robotics for surveillance of fish swarms and stuff like this. However, that is not necessarily the focus area. And all the other areas of robotic, we are dealing with human-robot interaction or similar things. We are driven by a lot of people. With us, we have a group of engineers run by me and a group of business development managers and project managers. And then, since I mentioned the ecosystem approach, we are also able to tap into resources where they might not be in-house, be it other entities that work in the sector, be it researchers that might have something to contribute. So the possibilities are big. And we basically try to be the entry point if it comes to advanced robotics. And obviously, we have a lot of robots. So the list is just a starting point. There are more robots with us, and I will talk about this a little bit later. Good. So what do we actually do? Within our engineering team, we are trying to help people to adopt the technology. So this is now particular the engineering bit, where we try to engage either with research or with companies or whoever else wants to do a project. And if you're not familiar with the technology readiness levels, we are sitting, the levels would be 3 to 4, up to 7, basically where it goes from a proof of concept, feasibility study, understanding whether a concept that research might have produced or somebody came up with becomes interesting and should be transferred into something tangible, up to the proof of concept, prototype, and then basically ending at the prototyping level where we say, okay, something has itself proven, it works as a full system. And then we are usually trying to hand it over to product companies that really translate these things into products and leave the actual maintenance and ruggedization and all aspects that are going into products to the next stage. So we have done this in the past and worked together with similar companies like SP Automation and similar people. Okay, good. So this hopefully gives you a little bit an idea what we do and where we sit in all of the topic. As a next point, I would like to very small light touch on the topic of automation. So this is ChatGPT generated automation, how you would usually perceive it. You have somewhere a warehouse or you have manufacturing plant and you have big robots there doing things in a repetitive way, high throughput, high precision, and a high amount of repetitions. So this is what we usually end up calling classic robotics automation. And usually what you don't see in there are humans. So what we see since 5 to 10 years now is advanced robotics emerging as a topic. And in this area, we are seeing new challenges arising. So on one hand, we have now diverse environments. So advanced robotics is concerned about going outdoors, going in areas where people not have been before. So in the agricultural context, we might appreciate fields, outdoor fields, where we are subjected to weather conditions, where we are subjected to wind. I mean, we are in Scotland here, so this is something we see quite often. But bottom line is we are looking at robots that have to work in less structured environments. So all of the neat things from the automation, where you can rely on a robot can execute an action 100,000 times in the same manner, goes slightly out of the window. And additionally to this, we are now starting to have to deal with humans in the loop. So that means a couple of things. Human in the loop, you would usually think about collaboration. So you are handing something over to a robot, or you are getting something from the robot, but you have to work in the same work area, in the same space, so to say, physical space. Humans in the loop can also mean that you have to find navigation, you have to find ways to navigate around people, to deal with people. So the loop is not quite tight there, but it basically means trying to come up with new plans for a mobile robot to go around a dynamic obstacle while still maintaining the objectives that the robot has to execute. So there are various levels of this, and yeah, so the image might give you an idea what we are talking here. Outdoor harvesting, whatever it means, apples in this case. But in principle, we are not bound to either ground or air or something. So all of these things, as I mentioned earlier, are environments where we have to deal with a lot of flexibility. And it starts very early with things like color. So I used to work in an earlier life for startups that tried to harvest tomatoes in greenhouses. So still halfway structured environment. But the problem of identifying whether a tomato is ripe or not actually became a challenge, because humans perceive color in a very particular way, and our brain is kind of like making up for the color in our environment, while for a physical system, this is not quite existing. So we have only nanometer wavelengths, and they might appear differently. So these are just the kind of difficulties advanced robotic deals with. So scene understanding, as I mentioned earlier, humans in the loop, they need to be detected for collision avoidance, hopefully, but also for other interaction elements. And the sensing is not just in order to target the environment, but it's also for the produce. So to get the right produce at the right time, as mentioned with the tomatoes. So I think that is something I wanted to give a kind of a heads up a little bit, because in a lot of cases, what we do as a National Robotarium, we're looking at this level of advanced robotics and trying to support prototyping or do prototyping. While the automation, the classic automation, you will most likely find a lot of vendors that already have fully developed systems. And I might be able to show that in a minute. Good. So, however, this was meant to be about robotic solutions for food, drink, and agriculture, and not for everybody else. So, since this was a quite vast topic, I was like, where should I start? So I looked at a way to make it a little bit more tangible, and looked at the value chain that you will most likely have on certain levels. So starting the whole presentation will be from the agricultural production, looking at how agriculture can benefit from robotics, going into the processing and manufacturing with a focus on the food. Distribution and logistics, I will just touch a little bit, because this is quite a topic by itself already, with big players in there that might not be at the scale that you as a smaller business would look like. So I'm now kind of comparing individual businesses with logistics centers like Amazon, which is certainly a different scale. Going into retail and food services, because even there we have now robots that are available. And I think the two aspects that are usually a little bit overlooked, but I still wanted to give some inspiration, is marketing and branding. where robots can support businesses as well, and waste management and recycling. Good. So as a starting point, what you probably will already be aware of if you're doing anything related to farming is autonomous tractors. So the advancements in the last years has given us GPS-enabled tractors that are able to go over fields. You define where they have to go, and then they basically do their job. So at least that's their story. Just a side note, all of the companies I'm presenting here is an example. So there are definitely more out there, and more and more companies going into that direction. I think in the agricultural realm, we can probably assume that John Deere is one of the biggest ones. So they invested quite a lot of energy into getting their tractors autonomously, in this case, the 8R. And I think the 8R was released just earlier this year, which now promises fully autonomous movement and operation. And this goes into even be able to work with things like slopes, like varying underground, and controlled over GPS and similar technology. If you now go a little bit further, then the next level would be precision seating. So the things that you can attach behind your tractor, giving you the seats. And here we are looking at systems. A lot of these systems are actually more living in the realm of AI. So the robotics part of it is rather an extension for doing the manipulation and getting the actual seeds into the ground. However, here we are looking at the combination of data that have been gathered through surveillance. I will make a point in a minute about this, where an understanding even about the soil structure is available, and then very precisely targeting the deployment of seeds into the ground. Most of this, as I mentioned, lives in the AI/software realm to make it happen, but has kind of a tangible outcome for robotics as well. Good. So now that we have our seeds in the ground and hopefully have prepared our field before, we are now going into the growth phase. And in the growth phase, what we don't want to have is weed. So if you want to go, I highly recommend watching this on YouTube. There's a nice YouTube video about the laser reader from Carbon Robotics, where it just goes over the field, and what you see as light shining from the robot downwards. So this is basically in imagination, or the actual light, but imagination of small lasers shooting at individual plants. So there's an AI recognition of weed in the robot, and they can identify which plant is a good one, is the one that you want to have, and what is considered weed. And then the robot goes over the field and basically de-weeds. So this is obviously already a little bit sci-fi. If you are going for the more classic approaches with spraying, then you would have robots available like the Tom robot from Small Robot Company. Actually, I have to say, that particular one is only available with us anymore as a prototyping platform, because unfortunately the startup didn't make it. It has a star on the slide because we were working together with them in the past. So you will eventually see this star coming up multiple times throughout the talk. This is just to give you all the feedback that we actually work together with companies and try to support them, not just as an end company, so to say, utilizing robots, but also as somebody helping the companies producing the robots themselves. So Right now, the robot, unfortunately, is not as much in utilization. So we are currently trying to get it back up and running. And the idea here is to either look at the spraying and in that sense, also a certain level of precision spraying. And the second aspect is utilizing it as a platform for inspection, because you can also go over the crop and get visual inspection feedback on multiple levels. Good. So if the field becomes a little bit more inaccessible because you're in an area where you either have not only crop like grains anymore, but you might have trees, you still want to do the spraying. So there are now robots available, in this case from DJI, the Agras T50, where you can load the fuel tank with sprays. And if your field is not big enough for a plane to spray, you can utilize a drone like this. And you can also spray more direct. So you don't have to go 50 meters on each side over your border. So this is a more direct approach. Obviously, in these kind of things, a consideration, especially with drones, is always infrastructure, because you want to have battery available. Some of the drones are also gasoline driven, so there are options, but employing these drones comes with a caveat of having the ability to deploy them and having the ability to keep them running, be it either refueling for the spray substances or for the battery power. Yeah, and this is something that already touches why this is not necessarily yet a totally off-the-shelf solution, totally available. Some of these things need to still be understood in terms of how the deployment can be done, which also means that some of the ideas are still in a proof of concept stage. So if I say proof of concept stage, then besides the spraying, you want to get a little bit more analysis of what is actually going on in the field. So Intellias has currently a trial where they try to utilize drones for inspection, for monitoring, which you then hopefully could combine with either spraying or fertilization. And on a larger scale, more like larger drones / almost planes, you also can get elements like soil analysis. So that goes to soil health. In this case, I think it's the water content. Yeah, I'm not going too much into detail because I'm not the expert on the actuals. I'm more the expert on how we get there. So nonetheless, there are quite some attempts out there to have large-scale analysis. And that is not only going for the quality of the soil, but for all aspects that you can consider in terms of while crop is growing, what happens. So a lot of emphasis in the last years has been on drone-based development and drone-based robotics. However, there are also projects out there that are ground-based. And when I showed earlier the Tom robot, one of the big issues always is bringing a big robot to a field. It makes the soil more dense if you have high payload. So there are solutions out there that are looking into scaling the analysis and monitoring smaller. So you might not even want to run with a robot like this over the whole field, but maybe you just want to have certain points that you want to reach. Then you also can employ a small robot like this, which basically gives you visual data. And I think it also might feature things like temperature sensors to give an idea about the state of the growth, basically. Good. So Now, what I skipped a little bit is the whole harvesting with big tractors and big machines, because at that point we also have to discuss, is it still a robot or is it a machine or similar things? So how to get the stuff either out of the ground on a large scale, I kind of have skipped here a little bit because it's also not necessarily our expertise area. But what I wanted to actually show is what happens afterwards once we got stuff. Especially with things like grain. You might appreciate that we have plenty of grain silos, and if you have grain silos, then you might have the interest to know about the moisture level and the condition in your grain silo, and you also might want to do something to the grain. So a company a startup that sits in the Robotium, they are working on a grain surfing robot. So I have put an illustration here as animation to make it a little bit more tangible, because I have to admit the first time I heard about it, I could not understand what was going on. So they developed a robot that can surf on the grain on top, which is not shown here. What is shown here is a probe that they can go in to the grain that basically dives into the grain as if it would be water. And in that case, they can either manipulate the grain, or they can measure elements like, as I said, temperature and moisture and things like this. So if you're interested in this one, I highly recommend reaching out to them or us. And I mentioned that I skipped the harvesting with big tractors, but one thing that I still wanted to mention, because as I mentioned earlier, I was kind of involved in these kind of things as well, is fruit picking in greenhouses, be it strawberry, be it tomato. I think people started tackling cucumber as well. Green on green, so it's a little bit more difficult to find the right fruits. Nonetheless, there are now companies out there that either are in trial run still as a startup, or already give you robots. And a lot of these robots are what we call robot as a service. So you're not necessarily paying for the robot, but you are basically booking the robot. So what you would do is you would get the robot on the site. The robot would then hopefully do 24/7. Usually it's less because recharging and similar things might kick in. But what you get is more or less a picker that you can employ there and get the crop out of the rows in greenhouses. There are various versions of it. I think Tortuga and Meteor Motion have been the more dominant ones, still visible. Good. So that was fruit, getting fruit, growing fruit. Unfortunately, I have, and it's probably better that way, not found a robot that does growing on the meat side. I think we hopefully have all the cows and sheep on the grass. But once this is not the case anymore, you will find automation systems that handle produce. So in this case, just as an example, again, most of these things, and that's why I tried to make a little bit the distinction between automation and advanced robotics. Most of these things are kind of heavier machines, work cells, so you don't want to have a human interacting there. Basically, work cells placed by themselves. And we have this for multiple streams. Meat processing automation, plenty of different examples you will easily find. I think the interesting point from my perspective, and that goes slightly in the gray area where we are getting interested as well again, is the potato sorting or fruit sorting, or in principle, any type of soft and slightly hard produce sorting, where you can have machines that are going from a very early concept where you just have different sized sieves, and you just go your produce over it, and depending on the sieve size, you're getting your different sortings out of it, up to the point that you will see very high-speed manipulators where you just have food falling down. And I think I saw this from tomatoes or strawberries. And then what you can have is a very thin but very fast air pressure being put on the falling elements. And every time you have a green fruit or not properly colored fruit, gets an air pressure, gets put in an reject bin, and the normal produce just falls down. Obviously, as long as you're not damaging the food meanwhile. So there are various options. This can go in different ways. As I said, air pressure as a manipulator. You have options where you can use normal flippers, sieves as mentioned. Most of this machinery is quite space consuming as well. But yeah, so the other elements that I'm not going to touch because I think whoever is in the current meeting dealing with this knows more than me about it is bottle filling. The only reason why I was bringing this in is this is a particular one where you have filling for soda and cans. So basically pressurized containers afterwards. So from my perspective, this was something a little bit more interesting than just putting liquid somewhere. So you have also the element of dealing with different levels of pressure, either outside or inside. And again, there are these days plenty of options. So the more interesting thing, at least from my perspective, looking into the future, are the ones where we look at the automating systems for smaller batch production. So all of this, what I just mentioned here, was large batch production. But if you look into a smaller batch production, then we are looking at things like automated baking systems. So in this case, one of the examples where a robot arm, collaborative robot arm, picks up the things. They can, on the other end, I think they also had putting it into the oven. Here, I think getting out of the oven, or putting it into storage. So you can get the whole chain from dough into oven doing its stuff, getting it out of the oven, getting it into shelves, and then further down the line. And this we can get not just for buns, we can get it these days now for I don't know, pizza and sandwiches and other things. I think there's one in the next slide. But the point being is it's more geared towards small batch production, which also makes it attractive to potentially be visible to customers and clients. While the big machinery you usually have in your back office, these are now starting to even appeal for the aspect I'm getting into a little bit later when it comes to marketing. What you also see is that's an earlier version on the robotic food preparation, Flippy Fry Station. I think this is going quite strong in America. They have now their second version, which is a little bit more of a work cell, but features robot arms. So basically help you frying whatever you like to fry. I'm not sure if they do Mars bars, but I think fries and onions and stuff like this. And here we are now also touching not only the aesthetics and the small batch production, but also things like health and safety, because everything where is hot oil around might have an impact here. You might want to get your workers away from it. So here you now have systems that you can fence off, and they are shielded, so to say. You still get your produce out and prepared, but the worry in terms of health and safety for the workers in the place can be reduced, so to say. The last element on the food processing, what I wanted to mention is classically, if you transport any type of fresh produce, you have been bound to using trays, to using a certain type of carrying element or certain type of container. We are now looking into an area in the development where we are not bound by this anymore. So what you probably have a hard time to see, sorry, wasn't a good size for that picture, but is soft robotic grippers. There are various versions around these days, but it basically means you're not bound anymore to a stiff structure that you want to grab. You can grab things like the meat. You can grab things like tomatoes, so not a default shape anymore. And it becomes viable. And obviously, on the other hand, it also becomes cleanable. Because if you have fresh produce, you still want to make sure that you can have cleaning cycles for your automation pipelines to not incur any either disease or other nasty things. Okay, good. So now we have produced our things. It goes into logistics sector now. Robotic sorting and picking. So that is the classic style that I just mentioned with the containers. So this is more easy. You still see new type of grippers. In this case, suction cup grippers. Vacuum. You're trying to get your produce up. It's still sometimes a little bit challenging because your surface that you're trying to tackle might not be as flat as you would hope for. So that's why you see a lot of these nozzles coming out of it, out of one. So this way has basically made sure that you still can have proper attachment, and you can now tackle problems that are before not quite easy. I'm not going too much into automated storage systems and cold chain robotics because there we are touching the wider realm of warehouse logistics, and this has plenty of examples for every need from small to big. I think that would be a different talk going into more examples. I think the important notice here is cold chain robotics is becoming a thing now as well. So at least to my understanding, that has been excluded for a while, but now people focusing on cold chain robotics as well, so that you can get all your fresh meat that you just handled with a gripper preserved over a longer period of time until it actually gets shipped. In order to get it shipped, you want to move stuff around. So one of the classic elements, and again, there's plenty of other robotics around, auto storage systems are plenty as well, as automated guided vehicles. This can be either a forklift, a truck that gets autonomous elements on it, or things like these, the Near robots. This guy has 250 kilogram payload. They're available in various versions. You can fleet manage them. You can have a lot of crazy guys, tiny guys running around in your warehouse, moving stuff from A to B. And yeah, that's available. We have also some of them with us to test out and to support people in adopting them. And again, multiple different manufacturers available. So now we have moved our stuff from store A to store B and so on and so forth, but we still have not shipped it out yet. So in order to ship it out, you might be aware of palletizing robots, big industrial arms, heavy lifting. So the example I'm making here is we are not anymore looking at same box on box. We are looking now also on different styles of boxes, different weights, different shapes that still can go onto one pallet. And once we have put it on the pallet, we then wrap it up with I'm not even sure what if there's a word for it. Wrapping robot. I saw one earlier this year, just putting the wrapper on it. It's quite amazing. So you can get that as well, and then you can basically distribute it to your customers wherever they are. Good. Quickly going through the retail. So in the retail section, we are now seeing robots coming in that support inventory management. So there are promises around that I'm not going to dig deeper into for reshelving and shelf stocking. I think the most tangible things I have seen are things like the Tally from Robotics, where you have a robot going around. It can safely navigate around humans. So that is, again, as I mentioned, the social aspect and the social navigation. So now you're entering a realm where the robot needs to be amongst humans. So you have other different safety perspectives on these kind of things. If you ever end up going to Belfast, I highly recommend going through the airport, because they now have a Bella bot, or multiple ones actually, serving you whatever food and drinks you want to order. Quite an experience. You can see that they're not quite there yet, but interestingly, I have seen the Bella bot now in at least 3 or 4 different countries this year. So these type of robots now become tangible and are also going out into the wild. So we are now facing the situation that the end customer not only notices the robot, but actually has to interact with the robot. So that is very new, but I think also quite interesting and quite exciting. And then on the more classic elements, robot cleaning, you now can have off-the-shelf, again, just an example from Kärcher, out off-the-shelf robot solutions. You start it, you tell it where to go, and then your floor is hopefully clean afterwards. So in a lot of these cases, you probably want to look at what your size of the floor is, because smaller applications would probably ask for a Roomba, and I don't think there's something in between a Roomba and a Kärcher or similar size devices. There has been a lot of talk about deliveries for food in the last couple of years. Starship technology, I think they're still running. I have seen a lot of people have pulled the technology from the market, even though they were already there. One of the problems we have and face here is not even technology problem. And that's exactly why, as Robotarium, we are not looking just at the technology. Here we are starting to deal with problems like anti-theft measures. Problems like negative behavior from random people on the street, bullying the robot, destroying the robot, and doing other nasty things. Unfortunately, to the point that some of the companies trying this gave up. I have to update myself, sorry for that, I have to update myself on where Starship technology sits right now. I think they are still running. But yeah, so this kind of last mile delivery seems to be still challenging. If you hear about drones, there have been examples on the web where somebody ordered a pizza and got a drone delivery. I have not seen yet scalable approaches. Still waiting for it and seeing good ideas. But in terms of readiness, I don't think it's quite there yet. But what is there, or at least it looks like it's there, is automated kitchen, automated, again, when we were talking about the small batch production, here we now have the one batch production, where we are now trying to make a sandwich, trying to make a pizza, trying to make whatever you can think of, a bowl an Asia bowl of things. All of these things can now be done on an individual basis. Mostly utilizing robot arms and various types of end effectors.
Just one more minute, please, if you can.
Yes, 2.
Excellent. 2, go for it, 2 minutes.
Okay, good. So marketing and branding. So that was we do stuff and we produce stuff. Now we have to talk about it. One thing that we can consider and has been considered in this case, from an ice cream kiosk installation from Niska, which utilizes a Pepper robot. So that a robot with a face, that's a Pepper robot from Aldebaran. So any type of customer-facing interaction can now be targeted through humanoid-style, human-shaped robots, or whatever fancy other robots you can imagine. So there are plenty of examples out there. And on the other end, where it's more like work cell style, you can now have fancy robot arms that make you a cappuccino. I have to admit, personally, I'm really a huge fan of technology, but personally, the business model is not quite. I haven't quite understood the business model beyond the marketing and branding aspect, because what you do is you put a robot where you would have usually a coffee dispenser. Good. Personalization and packaging, in this case, I will skip because it's big machines again. And the last thing I want to mention is, unfortunately, not too many examples out there yet. Automated recycling robots. In this case, startups that lives with us looking into differentiating different types of plastic and other things. I think, and I would hope for that there will be a need coming very soon where even on a smaller scale, and I'm not talking about waste plants, so to say, but actually on an individual business realm, we would look into recycling and reuse. And I think robotic can play a role there. And Danu would be one of the startups looking into this realm. Okay, and that's my last slide. Good. Yeah, so I think we are here to stay. I think you can benefit in all components of the value chain from robotics. And even if you don't really know yet, or you might consider, but you're not quite certain, come to talk to us. We want to help getting robots into the wild. Okay, thanks for the patience.
Thank you very much. It's a great presentation. Thank you. A lot of interesting examples there, so thank you. We've gone slightly over, so I will very quickly introduce Caroline, who's going to talk about some of the help I can give you if you're interested in robotics. And so I will share my screen.
Do you want to skip to slide 3, Alistair, and we'll just start? I'll just go through that slide, I think, then just in case there's any questions, if that's okay. Right. Oh, I'm not Alistair. So if you go, if you can go on to slide 3, which shows the program, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, so my name's Caroline Plan. I work with HI's innovation team. I'll just explain quickly the program that we've got at the moment running, which has kind of 3 segments to it. So there's an advice stream, a knowledge exchange, and a funding element as well. So I'll just quickly run through that. So we have a dedicated team of senior innovation managers, and we all cover a geographical area. Don't worry too much about that because we would keep you right. There's no kind of wrong door in terms of what we offer. So our role is to work with businesses who are engaged with HI, with the area teams, but not exclusively. So if we have inquiries that come into HI, then we're happy to answer those inquiries as well. What we can do is we can bring in our specialist advice networks. So some of the different organizations that we work with, and we can bring that to the area teams to support innovation that they're working on. So we have a specialist advice in terms of a small budget that we can bring in, or we can just offer some signposting to clients if they're looking to do something but not quite sure where to do that. And also looking strategically across the business. They know they want to innovate, but not quite sure, is that with our people, with our processes, or with our products. We also have a small amount of kind of IP support that we can offer. So that might be just some signposting to the UK IPO's office. Sorry?
Hi. Yes, hi.
Sorry, can I ask you to put yourself on mute?
Oh, sorry, I thought someone asked me a question. So we can offer IP audits to businesses. Again, if they feel that they're not making the most of the IP that you have within the business, they maybe have potentially trademarks or patents pending and want a bit more support around that, then we can offer that. We also have a knowledge exchange program, which is new to this iteration of the innovation program. So we had a webinar series which commenced in August around the controlled environmental agriculture that was really popular. On the 24th of September, we have a digital twins event, which is a visit to the C-Sub Centre in Aberdeen. If you're not sure about a digital twin, it's really just a virtual replica of a physical object, a person or a process, which allows you to simulate its behaviour and better understand how it might work actually and be applied in your business. So that's happening in September. We also have a new product development course, which is happening at the start of next year, which is fully funded. And again, we can provide more information on that if it's of interest. And finally, just to mention the R&D grant that we have available, it wouldn't necessarily fund off-the-shelf automation and or robotics, although that is innovation, obviously. It's more about the R&D potential for something that doesn't already exist, where there's a real technical challenge to introducing something into your business. And I would reiterate what the Robotics Centre said there. If you're looking at a partner to work with, then our R&D grant is something that could come in on the back of that. But again, just happy to speak to anyone who has a potential project. And I'll leave it there, Alistair, because I know you're short on time. Maybe get a couple of questions in. Okay.
That's contact details there for Alistair if anybody wants to book. Also get your details for Caroline if you want to speak to Caroline. So just to quickly let you know a couple of things that are happening coming out as part of the Tech Hub. We are hosting a networking event on food science and product development support. This will take place at SRUC's Robotics Centre on Tuesday, 24th September, 1:30 for 2 o'clock start until 5. And you'll include an optional site tour of the new Robotics building, which is the Rural and Veterinary Innovation Centre. So basically the event's going to give delegates an opportunity to hear from some businesses and universities supplying food services information. So things like food safety, shelf life, nutritional analysis, reformulation, product development. So if you're interested in that, please come along. You can hear about the businesses and the companies and the universities offering that. We'll also be providing an announcement on the additional support that's going to be available from the next phase of the Tech Hub project. So this includes some new programs or activities. So they've got a net zero mobilization service, they've got a technical advice service, and there's also going to be grant funding available for capital projects and training. So get an opportunity to come along, speak to other businesses, grow your network, meet our team, share experiences in an informal surrounding. So there'll be canopies and drinks and so forth. So please, if you are free on the 24th, then please come along to that. We're also going to be doing a workshop, an online workshop on Get Retail Ready. So if you're looking to sell to the retail market or maybe move into some of the larger wholesalers and retailers, then that webinar is going to be perfect for you. So that's going to be happening on the 10th of October, but we'll be sending more information about that in the next few days. We've got our bespoke one-to-one support that's available now. So if you're interested in receiving intensive one-to-one support from an expert in any area that could really benefit your business, be that from manufacturing to branding to sales, then please get in touch. If you want to get in touch, please send me an email, and then we can get you set up with an application form on the MyHigh system. The deadline for the next round of applications is 4 p.m. on Friday, the 4th of October. So if you do apply for that and you're based in the Highlands, then we'll allocate you an expert who will work for you, and that will be funded by the Tech Hub project. Also, just to make you aware that our podcast, I briefly mentioned that, it's Food and Drink Business Bites. There is now 9 podcasts available on the website, and the 10th podcast, which is going to be on market insights, will be released in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in having the list to it, please just go on the QR code there. It's available in all your usual methods of listening to podcasts, but it's hosted by my colleague Kerry Hammond, and it's to my saying it's particularly good. So do please listen if you're interested in what's happening in the food and drink side in the Highlands. We've also got an event feedback form. There's a QR code there if you want to scan and do that now, or I'll send you an email probably tomorrow with how you can give that. And we're always looking for some honest feedback on what you thought of the event and what we could be doing in the future. So that's me. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen. It just leaves me to say thank you very much for coming along. I hope you found that useful. Thanks to our speakers, to Ingo and to Alistair for making the slides and Caroline for delivering them. And as I said, please get in touch if you are with your feedback, and we'd be delighted to see you at the upcoming event. So please come along to them, and have a good night. Only 2 minutes over, so thank you. Cheerio.